The title of this video is The American Revolution and the Declaration of Independence. Now, in class, you looked at all the events which led up to the Declaration of Independence already. You've seen how the British reacted following the French and Indian War and how it impacted and affected the colonists. So this is going to go a little bit deeper into that, but it's still going to be just a general overview. So we're going to go back and we're going to go to the aftermath of the French and Indian War. Remember, the British were sending over troops to fight the French and the Indians who inhabited North America and the lands that the colonies wanted. Now, with that being said, they kept sending troops. Now, after the war was over, the British troops remained in the colonies, and the colonists didn't really like that. They didn't like it because in order for these troops to stay over there, they had to be taxed. And as you've learned in class, or what you should have learned in class, is the colonists didn't necessarily like all these taxes that were being laid upon them. The colonists believed Parliament could not tax them because the colonists themselves had no representatives in Parliament. Now remember, we had the slogan, no taxation without representation. Since the colonists weren't represented in the British government, then they should not or would not be considered British citizens, and therefore they should not be taxed. Now, we're going to go back really quickly to see what this Parliament actually is. Now, Parliament developed from the Magna Carta. The Magna Carta was a document that was signed way back in 1215, and this document pretty much limited the power of the king. This document is also important because it gave people more rights. Now, basically, people got the concept of a trial by a jury of their peers. No one is above the law, and you now have fair treatment under the law. So it made citizens within England and Great Britain, it made them have more rights. They became a little bit more freer. They had a little bit more freedom. But the biggest thing that it did was the king, or the monarch, had no longer had absolute power. He had to start meeting with officials from the church, nobles, and representatives of the common people, his subjects, in order to make decisions. As time passed, by the time we get to the 1600s, the king could not make any decision without Parliament's approval. So Parliament ended up having more power than the king. So when we're looking at the colonists, and we're looking at how the colonies were established, it was established through efforts of the king and Parliament working together. So we're going to go back to the problem now that we know what Parliament is. The problem is that Parliament is trying to take over the colonies after not doing anything for them for all these years and place the colonists under British rule, which they do not want. So to talk about these problems that they're seeing as far as the Parliament trying to take over, the colonists meet at what we know as the First Continental Congress. So you have representatives from each colony. They meet and discuss the issues of the British troops inhabiting their lands and the British king and Parliament trying to take over. Some colonists just simply wanted to try to repair the relationship with the king and Parliament, to try to have a working relationship. Others didn't. Others wanted independence. The one thing that they did do is that the colonists at this First Continental Congress, they sent demands to the king demanding that their rights be restored and that no further action will be taken against them. Then you have this gentleman by the name of Thomas Paine. He was a recent British immigrant. He wrote a book or a pamphlet called Common Sense. And he said there is no way that this relationship can be repaired, and it's only common sense that we break free from English rule and we become our own country. So Thomas Paine, his words and his pamphlet is what guided the Second Continental Congress. After the king did not back down, after Parliament did not back down, the Second Continental Congress met. And at this meeting, a group was formed by Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Roger Sherman, and Robert Livingston. And basically what they were to do, they were to draft a formal statement that would justify the colonies breaking away from Great Britain. And this formal statement would come to be known as the Declaration of Independence. This was a document that was written and authored by Thomas Jefferson, and it basically outlined why the colonists wanted and needed to break away from England.